Okay, to give a short introduction, everybody. All three of us, Yuri, Keyframe, and me, all have seen Endgame already. We will now take off the gloves and go all spoiler, like really all spoiler.
Oh, dog it, baby.
Exactly. If you haven't seen Endgame yet, turn off this video, put it on your watch later list, and return after you have watched Endgame.
Go watch the video in the description of someone jingling their keys with the Endgame screen in the background.
That sounds like a great idea.
Where did you found that? I was
YouTube.
Just like a cat and laser pointer.
Yeah.
I was just make it stop.
Yeah, YouTube. But I could not talk through it because the jingling was actually too distracting for me.
Why didn't you just mute the video?
Because then it's just a wavy picture of the
logo.
logo.
Missing a technical producer, I get it.
Shush. Anyways, so you guys have all been warned. No hard feelings if you switch it out. Once again, this video will be uploaded on my YouTube channel that you can watch it later. Endgame. So
Endgame. Everyone dies, but not.
Dum-dum-ba-dum-bum.
Yes, but actually no.
But actually no. Stark dies. Robert Downey Jr. ends his career in Disney's Iron Fist, contractually over. That's the reason why Iron Man is dead.
I mean, yes, but I think they did a good way of sending him out.
Yes, they did it. They did a very, very, very good
better one than Captain America. Okay, now I can finally talk about it.
Yes, talk about it,
here's the
please.
problem.
Please.
So they make it very explicitly clear in the beginning, like when they joke about Back to the Future and whatnot, and Bruce Banner is like, no, this is not how time travel works. Time travel is like, because whatever we go through is our past, it is kind of fixed. And they even literally, visually represented their version of time travel is splitting timelines.
Alternate timelines.
Yeah, exactly. You create alternate timelines, alternate dimensions the moment you do something in the past that messes stuff up, which is okay. They do with it. They even have the like, okay, we need to go back and fix the alternative timeline, but they are not our timeline. It's a-okay. But then they are like, but when it is plot convenient, a character can travel back in time and just stay there, and it doesn't affect our current timeline at all. No.
You know what people like? Emotionally closure scenes with characters we send off, therefore we're fucking the internal logic of time travel.
Exactly.
That was the end with Captain America.
Exactly. And I'm also afraid that they will use it. I mean, here's the thing. I talked to Yuri. There is an alternate scene how they could have done the same standoff without fucking up the timeline like this.
And that would be?
By Cap basically being like, I'm already taking... for some excuse, he either gives him the shield, like, just hold on for me to it, or gives him a letter or whatnot, and it's like, should something go wrong, check this letter. Or this message or whatever, or he has a cliche of oh no, this doesn't work anymore. No, he needs to leave an evidence there before he goes.
Every physical thing which is in the timeline after he disappears makes no sense.
Or leaving a phone, an automated message he recorded before.
Still.
No, this makes sense.
No, the only way it makes sense is he's coming there saying, "Hey, I want to go back," and then he goes back.
No, he can
That's
also...
the only way how it would logically work.
No. It would also work if he would decide, before he steps on the time thing, that he will stay in the past. He decides it, so the guys cannot stop him. He gives him a message, or records a message before that starts playing a few seconds after he leaves. But he plans it. He plans this ahead to not come back.
There are
we know
so many ways how you could have done it. They did not choose to do it because
they fucked up
what they wanted was the closure for Captain America, which was the emotionally payoff. He got his happy end with
Carter, yeah.
Right?
But they sacrificed the entire internal logic, and I'm fucking afraid that because they already fucked over in the same fucking movie established time travel logic they decided to go with. They were also like, they will use it as an excuse to bring Loki back.
I mean, they
Even
did
so,
kind
it
of shut.
doesn't make sense, because the timeline in which Loki ran off never happened, because we are living in a timeline in which Loki got returned to Asgard.
And why should I blast a hole in that theory?
Oh boy.
He has the space stone.
Yeah, but
the Tesseract is for space.
can it
right?
transdimensional? Can it really
I think
move you
so.
transdimensional?
But I want to make you even more angry.
Oh boy. Even for Keyframe wanted to say
plot
something.
Point with this time traveling. By the way, that's the reason why I hate time travel plots, because they will never make sense, and you're always just watching them, and you're in the end thinking, "Hey, that's wrong. They did it wrong there," and therefore it clouds your whole experience like A and Y's right now. You know what? Scott Lane says to the guys, "Hey, 5 hours just went in this trans-dimensional mini
Which is
cosmos
actually not
thing
time
where
travel.
it was just quantum physics and everything."
It's just time dilation.
Why did he could communicate in real time with the Wasp in his movie? This time delay was not happening in the movie before.
Yeah.
How could he just communicate with those guys?
Here's the funny
The
thing.
whole theory just not makes sense. And here's the kicker: it's just a very complicated way to just replace the green Infinity Stone, the Time Stone, which they had. And every fan in Infinity Wars was just telling everyone, why did not Strange go back in time and just changed everything?
But yeah, I mean, for that, I also had the explanation earlier that with the time stone, we have never seen somebody actually time travel. We have seen creating time loops. We have reversing time, like in a small area. But like you taking yourself out and traveling far back into time, into another inception point, we have not seen this. So maybe the time stone cannot do this. But yeah, it's a bit like
The thing is, the whole time traveling with the, like Key said, first of all, it makes this whole retroactively upping up the importance of Ant and the Wasp a little bit strange. It just seems like, hey, we need to validate this movie by just putting this very convenient plot point in. I don't know.
I mean, like, to just say, like, yes, it seems like this is what I'm agreeing with Max. It seems like this is going to be the reason of how they bring Loki back, because they made it a very sustained point to show that Loki got the Tesseract in the box scheme. And yes, the Space Stone, the Tesseract, gives the power over space itself, and it is what Thanos used to basically interdimensional travel at the speed of light, for all we know. And what happens when they've established in multiple movies that the interdimensional travel is basically going into a pocket dimension that leads to other things.
Well,
what I'm going to say here, I don't want to count this as a defense, but as what I think their reasoning is going to be. Let's just put it like that. Because they make the point that everything is fixed. How Bruce Banner said, what your future self is actually your present, that kind of thing. That basically means, since everything is fixed and you can't change, what happened with Captain America going back was meant to always happen.
But
I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm saying that's probably what their defense is going to be. It was just always meant to happen.
But yeah, we're just continuing the string, which was already predestined, so to speak, and he's just going through the motions and just fulfilling this already predetermined path. That's the reason why Infinity Wars happened, the snap happened, but after that, still they're going along and just reversing the snap. So
and then like because in this past, because they never gave an exact date of when he went back to be with Carter.
Yeah.
The Cap we know that went through the phases is still frozen. Now Carter just has him back.
Yeah, but the thing is, we know. But here's the thing: we have an entire TV show about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where Carter's running around running the show. Where is her boyfriend Steve Rogers there? We have we have Agent Carter dying in the first Avengers movie. She's on her death. And wait, why is she like, oh, after all those years,
I get your point, but that's always the problem with retroactive
that's the thing.
Manipulation of storyline when you get in time travel. And that's the reason why I dislike time travel as a plot device, because it makes no sense retroactively for your whole universe. Basically, we have to retcon everything since Captain America did this, right?
But
Or
I'm just
But then they
What
would
I-
not
How
be
do
at
you
this
do that?
point.
What I'm
Butterfly
just
effect.
saying-
Sorry, you go.
But what I'm just saying, what their defense may be, and what I can, it's my only rationalization of this, is that there is not, given that there is no, if this happened and this was their plan, kind of thing, and this is what they're stating it is of the full possibility, especially since Steve, at the end of the movie, when he is an old man, and I am going to get to my own point later, that he would rather not say anything. For all we know, he could have just changed his name. All he said, and he didn't want to talk about it, because nothing says that he stayed with her during that entire thing, because he knows the future and what needs to happen.
So
All he said is I had lived a little bit of the life that Tony told me to do.
Yeah.
But
The
this
thing is,
also requires for this to work that Steven Rogers basically turned completely inactive and ignored all bad things happening in the world, because he is not just this is not just him going back in time and reliving through all of this stuff. This is not just butterfly effect. This is a fucking Mothra effect. He's putting on the entire world there.
the thing is, I get your point. My point is, I'm actually, when they started in the start of a movie talking about time travel, I was at this point completely prepared that we'll fuck this up in some way. So I saw the same thing as you did. I just came to the same conclusion, and I was just like, yep, that's the point where they're fucking the logic up, and I will just ignore it because the emotional closure for Captain America is worth it.
I agree.
In my opinion.
Agree. I personally agree, because you can say that out of all the Avengers, Cap is up there with the person that had to go through the most shit.
Yes, but
He
here's
deserved this.
I'm giving him his ending. I'm on board with giving him his ending. I'm just against them ruining the time travel logic they established themselves in this entire.
Your pet peeve is that they actually showed this in the movie, made a big deal of explaining what they are not allowed to do to make sense, and then they're doing it. I get you.
Exactly.
I totally get you.
So I will say, in the terms of emotional payoff, I was just so happy that they did the proper thing and passed the torch to Sam.
Yeah, that was a strong.
Sam
I
fucking
like that
deserves
scene,
the shield.
Yeah,
Mixed
I like
feelings.
that
Sam
scene.
deserves the
Better
shield.
than
I
Bucky.
want to see a Captain America movie with Sam as the official Cap.
Mixed feelings. I 100% agree with the deserving part, and Yuri does as well. We had this discussion already earlier
we had
today.
this actually, yeah.
However, there is one reason why I'm like, this is fucking stupid, and there is once again a virtue signaling kind of fucking itself over there. Acknowledging that he deserves, yes. However, what is his fighting style? His fighting style is flying around on this super agile aircraft thing. What does he fucking do with a shield there? And he is not a superhuman. Bucky and Cap
That's
both
the stronger argument, yeah.
Bucky and Cap both are superhumans. That's why this kind of brawly shield as a weapon makes sense. Why they can throw it with superhuman strength and weaponize it and shit. He cannot do this. He's a normal human who just has a specific skill for flying around and shit. He's basically... Captain America basically signed his death sentence by making him the new Captain America.
The thing is, that's solvable. That's solvable.
By
just enhancing it with Stark technology and shit, we have seen this working.
Okay,
so
this is an argument.
That's solvable.
But there's no Stark anymore.
There's
Female
also
Iron Man.
Yeah, but there's also just the thing of, oh yeah, so happy when Pepper got her suit.
Yeah.
But no, my thing with that is that it doesn't. Here is the Keyframe reads way too many comics thing, because it is canonical in the comics that he is the next Cap, and basically, yes, he is not a superhuman. However, his suit itself and Captain America's shield are made of the same materials. He is. This is the problem with the movies not really establishing Falcon that well. He is trained to use Cap's shield. and he is also a trained expert, and he does have actual powers, but they never actually show it, this is my just personal problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how they handle some characters.
Yeah.
He has brain and empathic powers, but they
never established it.
They never established it. They focused more on him basically utilizing the Falcon suit. But it's very simple. What I imagine they're going to do if they have in the next phases, they'll probably not have him as the main movie, but as a supporting character, which is what they're doing with not making another Thor movie and just putting him in Guardians Volume 3. Is that
we will talk about this, but please continue.
Is just like what they'll probably do is just format Falcon's suit to, one, have the aesthetic of Captain America, and two, utilize utilize the shield either as a defensive mechanism or just have technology enabled that you can shoot it. That way, the super strength of throwing the shield is not needed. That is the plus of Falcon being a technologically advanced person, as well as being an on-the-fly strategist, which works when you have a projectile weapon. But
the whole situation is solvable.
Yes,
it's not a corner they wrote themselves into, but for me it was a little bit strange, the whole setup that Bucky was just nodding approvingly, because also Bucky Barnes gets at one point Captain America.
Yes, but Bucky has his own established further things as, one, the Winter Soldier, and two, if they continue with Bucky in the next phases, they will probably make him White Panther or something, which is also an established canonical trait. Given that they put him in Wakanda, that is what they're probably going to do.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they will link up those two. We will see. I'm really excited actually for Black Panther, how they continue the whole Black Panther arc. I'm really excited for that.
Give Shuri a Black Panther suit. She was supposed to be the next Black Panther. If people wanted to know why the fuck I was mad that Shuri just got vaporized, it was that was the. There's a few things between the comic adaptation to the movie adaptation where I'm just like, no, you fucked over characters. In the one being, they made Scott Lang until this movie fucking useless. Scott Lang was the person who made Ultron in the comics, and they didn't do that, and it pisses me off.
Hank Pym made Ultron.
Yeah, but he helped in the creation of it. In the comics, Ant-Man was one of the establishing members. And I'm just taking out the fact that Ant-Man and Wasp are fucking founding members of the Avengers since the fucking beginning, and the MCU is one of the few examples where they're not. But the other thing was, after the death of T'Challa, Shuri takes up the mantle of Black Panther, and I was so excited to see that. And they got rid of her. But I understand that if you kept the most canonical person, the most canonically smart person in the MCU alive, they would not have needed Tony for the quantum theory.
Okay. Because I was wondering what you were talking about earlier. You meant the figuring out the quantum thing.
They kept Bruce Banner and Tony because Tony is a quantum physicist and Banner is the second or third smartest person in the Marvel universe. Shuri, though, is not only the prodigy, canonically is the smartest person in the entire Marvel universe, let alone the MCU.
You described it as the first conflict in the movie, and I'm like,
first initial conflict.
How would she have helped? How would she have helped with killing Thanos? Or bringing? I mean, he already vaporized the stone, so nobody could have helped. The killing went pretty well. So what purpose would she have had? Yeah, I didn't get that you were referring to the time travel.
My big thing, that a lot of people will be like, oh, this is small potatoes, but to me it's not. And I think Yuri understood a little bit of what I was saying. They wasted the Stan Lee cameo because he could have, given the fact that they've shown in Captain Marvel and this movie how they can age down characters, including Stan Lee's actual cameo in the movie. They could have made him Tony's dad.
But he already
they could have made him aged up Captain America.
Ooh, nice one. Yeah.
Okay, because
the dad I saw, but the dad was not working because the dad was established in Winter Soldier
even in the first Iron Man.
Maybe I will concede, not the dad, but they could have used him for Cap. They could have used him for Cap.
For Cap, probably, yes.
And if you wanted to, look, they were already
guess.
fucking the internal logic with this for the sake of emotional payoff. You should have, if you were going to do that and go full emotional payoff, make Stan Lee the final form of one of his creations.
But then
I have
again,
a better idea. I have
What?
an even better idea, which would not work because the thing is, you know why this whole emotional payoff was even happening with Cap? It has a very practical reason. The shield gets destroyed, which is, by the way, pretty iffy for me, but the Captain America shield gets broken because Thanos is a badass and he can just
Thanos is a
do
fucking
this,
titan, yeah.
right? So how do you now hand over the shield symbol to the next Captain America? You can't
Without
because
a
the
shield.
shield is not there, so you have to go back in time, get the shield, and just hand it over. That's, by the way, the only reason why we have even this whole situation, in my opinion. I have a better one. Captain America tries to go back. He cannot. He dies on the way, or is somewhere, I don't know, and he meets Stan Lee, and Stan Lee just has a quick cameo and just shows him off into the light and just goes himself to the light. That would have been better.
but they didn't know that Stanley was dying, so.
However, given that the movie's whole thing is a culmination, it would have made sense to just have Stan Lee's cameo there for the sake of culmination. Just a personal thing, Into the Spider-Verse's Stan Lee cameo had more emotional gravitas than the Endgame spoiler did, and I feel like that's wrong.
I was in the wrong movie, but here's, it was a wasted, I agree that it was...
Yeah, the cameo was actually,
barely,
I noticed as well, pretty bad.
Pretty
it was
weak.
One of the weaker ones.
Yes, agreed, but then again... A, he probably was already pretty old. B, nobody was aware that this would be his last cameo. And the problem is with making him old Steve Rogers. Then we suddenly have Stan Lee sitting there on the on the thing, and people would be like, "Hey, you old man who doesn't look at all like Chris, whatever this Chris name
Evans.
was."
Evans.
Chris Evans is the name of the actor.
Yeah, you 100% do not look like Chris Evans, but I totally recognize you and are like, Cap? First of all, the suspension of disbelief would be a lot harder by setting somebody who looks not at all like Chris Evans there. Second of all, there is the tongue-in-cheek thing that, he is, Stan Lee in the MCU is supposed to be a watcher, an established entity, that all the cameos are the same character.
I get that. I get it, but I think just in the meta sense, I feel like put aside that they didn't know that this would be Stan's last cameo. The fact that this is like 12 years in the making, these characters are him and Jack Kirby's babies. I feel like just for the sake of it being that culmination, being the end of an era, that should have signified him having not even a big role, just something that had more gravitas than shouting peace and love. Like I said, Into the Spider-Verse had a better one of him giving Miles Morales that moment, you know?
Raising hands for a question.
Yes.
Do they really dare to get him as a cameo animated CGI in the future movies?
Into the Spider-Verse?
No, in the Far From Home is the next one.
Oh yeah,
Do they keep continuing to just let it show?
The thing was, they did say in the news article when he passed away that basically what he was doing in his final days was recording a bunch of cameos. So
they probably have a catalog of this?
They probably have a catalog for the films that have been in production. So Far From Home and maybe Guardians 3. However, there's also this big iffy thing of people are not sure whether they're going to cut out the cameos out of respect or if they're just keeping Endgame as his final cameo, even if they do have him. But then there's the argument of Stan wanted to do this. Why would he be recording it in his final day? It's a big kit and caboodle. Point is, I'm trying to think of other problems that I had with this movie.
Captain Marvel, we actually talked about her. We can just ignore her, right? I mean, we are talking
They
about...
gave her a haircut. Ooh.
No, that actually was like, nice.
Here's one thing. Just let me quickly get to this point. It was so on the nose how the female heroes assembled in one scene that it actually lost a lot of gravitas and a lot of impact, and I was like, yeah, cool, you're doing the gender card. Thank you. I didn't need that. The guard chief from Wakanda, she's a badass, capable woman, and she is strong and all of the shit. I didn't need the reminder that we have female heroes.
Yeah. I feel like if they cut out the assembling part, but they kept say the part where Shuri, Marvel, and Pepper shoot Thanos, that's perfectly fine. You can cut out a few scenes in that, and that would make that whole moment a lot better. You can have the female characters fighting together without having the establishing shot.
But without this very deliberate, hey, by the way, females are also great heroes. Didn't you know? After 18 movies or whatever, with a lot of strong female villains and heroes?
Yeah,
why did we need this?
And the scene was actually. Why do
we need to push this on people?
I really did not want to dislike this scene because it was like.
It was a cool scene.
Yeah, it was a cool scene, but that it was like and another female joins and another female joins and another female, and it's like.
It's also logistically in the context of the fight completely stupid.
Exactly, like that. It happens to be all the females, but only the females who are there at this moment, even though they were probably completely
gathered over.
And it was such an immersion breaker scene because you saw
it
happening, and it
they would have all fucking died. They would have all fucking died because they were not near one of the people that could make the shields over the head when they were shooting everything. This
scene, since they overplayed their hand and turned it into a bit of an immersion breaker.
For me, it was on the nose. It, like he said, a little bit more subtlety on that scene. Yeah. Just don't make it as obvious that we are now making a statement here, and I'm totally fine with it. But the thing is, stuff like this just breaks me out of the, like AY said, it's an immersion breaker, which makes it just, hey, this is unnecessary, stop it. I get the point, it's just unnecessary.
Now, how about that? Yes.
However,
yes.
Let's start to talk about the good stuff in this movie.
Oh, but I had one point that I wanted to ask.
Oh.
How do you guys feel about the obvious setup for Guardians Volume 3 of them having to just go find Gamora since Gamora wasn't anywhere after she kicked Star-Lord in the nuts?
Yeah, she was not on the ship, yeah.
Yep, and so that's probably the setup for Guardians 3 is finding getting Gamora.
He has to fight back her love, so... The thing is, the whole Gamora setup was pretty strange anyway, because, hey, Black Widow is dead. Scarlett Johansson also has an ending contract, and nobody cares about a Black Widow movie, so...
But she had a strong exit.
Yeah.
They made me care about Black Widow and Hawkeye. This movie, going to the good things. Holy crap! They made me care about so many characters I usually don't care about.
Should we address
the start of the movie? The start of the movie was a very strong start. The whole situation to get us back to end to.
It was a year ago. Let us remind you of how it felt.
And it felt really bad.
Holy crap, they gave Hawkeye the most You know how they improved Thor and Ragnarok just really fast? Like, automatically you like Thor? Now I automatically felt for Hawkeye, the character that I didn't give a shit about in the first Avengers.
Now here's an interesting one that Mustafa Zanuck brought up. Like, he apparently doesn't like fat Thor.
I love him. I love Thor. Like,
are you
look,
okay?
It's perfectly realistic.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much Big Lebowski for me, but
they literally called him Big Lebowski in the movie.
I love that when people put spoiler-free spoilers on Twitter, they just put the regular show thing of like Mordecai looking like a homeless man. It's like Avengers Endgame, and it's like, now I totally get it. But now looking at him and Star-Lord together, it's just like, hey, there's Chris Pratt now. There was Chris Pratt back in like 2009.
No,
very good.
but I was actually afraid because throughout the movie, because it was clear that Thor will at some point soar up, like with his summoning his battle suit and everything, and I was like,
But he
okay.
was so fat.
I know they stuck with it. I loved
Yeah.
that they stuck with it. That they could have so easily been like, okay, he activates his powers and bring his little god body returns, but no, they stuck to it, and I appreciate this a lot.
We are talking about Thor.
Yes.
Thor
Yes.
is actually the character which has the most skillful, not the most emotionally attached character development throughout MCU, but the most skillful to just turning this very weak character with very weak movies around and making him a very, very funny, but also relatable and strong and capable character. And now he's in Guardian of the Galaxy 3. A-okay.
Yeah, on his
just
hammer,
love
I'm
this.
going to put a little gold star of a most improved award.
Yes, without
And
a
by the
doubt.
way, Captain America with a hammer was just epic.
Yes, yeah, that was just a moment where when Thor's like, yes, I knew it.
it.
I'm like, hell yeah.
And
But the
And
moment where
the
it's like,
ele-
no, I'm the
the-
god, you get the little one.
the elevator scene with Hail Hydra
Oh, yes.
was so good. They played the internet so well. Just going to the elevator, just recreating the whole scene which we had in Winter
yes.
Soldier, and he's just doing the Hail Hydra.
Oh yeah,
And
sure,
walks
take
out.
it. and even Cat, you see Cap grin like those idiots.
Yeah.
Can I also say, Cap also gets a most improved sticker because,
yeah.
man, they chilled him out so much over time that it's great. But that was like the interesting thing, seeing them do the flashbacks of the first Avengers, and then you see how they look like now. How just, like I will say, after the Russo brothers got their little paws on the franchise, you see them dress more casually and stuff. Like, I felt like there was kind of a reason they focused that focus shot on Scarlett Johansson's old bodysuit, and then you see her in the rest of the movie. She's wearing like more actually battle-ready clothes and like a hoodie, eating a peanut butter sandwich. It's just like, wow,
Yeah.
there is a big tonal shift here.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Black Widow scenes were pretty good in this movie. You really felt the whole arc which was ending for her, and the desperation after Thanos gets killed. By the way, Thanos and the reappearance of Thanos was still as impactful as in Infinity Wars. Thanos is such a good villain still, and he just took, without the Infinity Stones, for Captain America and Iron Man and just hold his ground. I mean, yeah, we had the Captain Marvel scene where she was just pushing the Infinity Gauntlet back,
But
where I
even
was
there,
about to lose my shit.
That was such a cathartic scene, though, where he took the Power Stone and punched her in the face.
And by the way, I did not check into it yet. I will do it. Apparently, the Avengers cast, so the whole MCU cast, hates this actress.
I mean,
They're just trash talking her in all the interviews. I just need to look into that. I didn't do it because I didn't want to spoil myself, but apparently this character and the actress does not really get along with all the old boys.
I mean, as I told you before, 3/4 of the shitstorm that the movie Captain Marvel got up front was because of her. She was being a bitch in all the press conference and stuff. She created the majority of the hate hype for Captain Marvel.
She was jumping in hot water unnecessarily, I would say.
I mean,
And she's just like, I'm making Marvel's first really strong female character, and it's
no,
like,
you don't. Shut up.
and then look behind, you see Natasha and Carter and Shuri and Nakia and Gamora and Nebula, which, by the way, Nebula's whole arc in this movie was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I never felt so good seeing someone shoot themselves.
The whole setup with Stark and Nebula was pretty good. Where they had this very short. The thing is, they're getting really skilled in just conveying information in very short bursts. Like the play between Stark and Nebula, the little flipping thing. So they just passing the time.
Paper football.
the whole scene just doesn't take a minute, but conveys so much information that those characters just working together and just getting along in their very awkward way. And then she's just putting him into the seat when he's sleeping, and all of those subtle things just kicked off the whole movie so brilliantly. And that's the strong thing about Marvel. That's just technically very good filmmaking. When you ask yourself, what is the biggest difference between MCU and DC universe? It's just stuff like this. They still can pull this off without rushing stuff. And that's why I just loved this movie.
Yeah, like the moment in the beginning, like the few small moments that I think stick with me the most is when Tony's handing Nebula, I'm just going to say, a bag of chips, and she pushes it back because she's a cyborg. She doesn't really need it. But then also the scene, there's plenty of points in this movie where tears were running down old Chrissy's face. The scene that made me cry like a baby was not Tony dying, was not Cap. It was Happy talking to Tony's daughter about cheeseburgers.
Oh yeah.
Being like, because I was just like, that is that nice uncle feeling of like, yeah, what do you like? Cheeseburgers? I'm gonna get you all the cheeseburgers you want. They smile at each other, and I'm like,
that's relatable stuff, which gives those characters depth and humanity. Captain Marvel, the thing which makes character relatable.
That just killed me.
But also, while we are comparing DC to Marvel movies, what I found fascinating was Endgame basically had the most hated, most infamous scene of Batman vs. Superman, and they managed to pull it off. Martha. It was a Martha scene.
Bucky is alive.
Exactly.
The whole Captain America fights Captain America was just very well made and hilarious.
But it was like when I saw this scene and I realized like Bucky is alive, and I'm like, and he's like, huh? And it gives him the upper hand. I'm like, this was a Martha scene, but done right. So
there's so many things which are just, the thing is the very thin line between being overstepping certain limits and just don't hitting the balance. That's the thing. Without being cringy, without being too emotionally, and without just doing the like Martha scene from Superman versus Batman or whatever. All of this is just right. And that's the reason why Endgame is just a very, very good movie. It also ties everything up for the main old characters, I would say, without you feeling like I didn't felt for 3 hours. AY was the same, I think.
But I didn't feel it either. But like, if I can just, but like the thing that I loved, like showing both the good sound mixing and also the good writing. Tony's entire death, because the writing of Pepper and Peter, Peter, like, okay, the other scene that did make me cry like a baby was just Peter and Pepper's part. It wasn't Tony dying, but like Peter being like, Mr. Stark, we won, which just, it gave me remnants of I don't feel so good, but the other way around. And then just Pepper saying, we're going to be okay. You can rest now. There's a lot of personal attachment to those words for me that I just was like, oh, Thanos snapped a hole in my heart. But the moment that just killed it all, that I was like, okay, waterworks are breaking. I don't know. Maybe it was just my theater, but I imagine it sounds great. All the background folly that you hear during that entire scene, it completely cuts out. All you hear is like maybe a little bit of wind and Pepper crying, and then the music seeps back in. Yep. And they had a couple moments like that in the movie, I think right after Black Widow too. But it's just like, that's how you do sound mixing right. And it's such an underappreciated part of the movie experience, but it's fucking needed.
It's the absence which conveys gravitas, and then you're just phoning it back in, which is so hard to get the timing right. But I was just crying like hell when the whole Peter Parker scene was. That was also my scene where I was just breaking down in tears. The thing is, all of this felt deserved for all the characters which had their end. Pretty much all of them. The only thing which I'm confused about was, and that's how I ask now everyone, how did you like Hulk combined with Ruffalo's Banner? So the sentient Hulk. I liked it, but we lost Hulk, basically. He's now the smart guy, and he's really funny and really good, and it works totally fine. But we do not have Hulk as a fighting hero anymore. I didn't see him fight, actually.
I'm gonna let Max go first because I have points.
Yeah, I actually answered this question earlier already when he asked me, and I was also like, yeah, I really like the Green Giant.
He dabbed.
But
he dabbed.
He did dab.
No, he just said dab, and I was like, oh my god, he turned into Max.
He did, didn't he? Unshaved glasses, tall guy. Well, I need to work out a little bit more to get on his level.
You just need to take nothing but steroids for the rest of your life if you want to be that.
I'm not sure. I'm still pretty sure that but I cannot recall it. But I have the feeling that everybody was fighting in the end, so he was probably also there in the big battle at the end. He probably smashed, but yeah, he didn't have a big great moment like in the first Avengers movie where he punches down at one of those worms and then rips the second one apart. So he is not this beast anymore. That's true.
The last proper fighting scene was the fighting scene against Thanos when he got beaten up by Thanos in Infinity Wars. That was the last actual fight we have seen from Hulk. So, yeah. But I like how they did this. They improved the character of Hulk, or just gave Hulk the closure which the character arc needed. And it was just interesting how they did this, and I really liked it a lot.
What my thoughts on it, I do think he was an entertaining character, because essentially what he is just the MCU's version of merged Hulk, which was the only difference being is that Banner considers now him and Hulk kind of the same. Meanwhile, merged Hulk does consider Hulk a separate person. Here he just states that Hulk was the cure. But same basic thing. It's part of their whole picking and choosing. But I do think it's deserved. I feel like with the whole arc of him being somewhat sentient, but still just the Hulk self in Ragnarok, and then him not being able to utilize him in Infinity War, I do feel a bit bad that I feel like we missed a transition. Though I know that would have missed out the funny part of him being giant with Scott Lang, but like I feel like we missed that merger where they did have that reconciliation, since him not being able to activate the Hulk was such a crux of his character in Infinity War near the end too, where he had to use the Hulkbuster.
It was important, yeah.
It was important. However, what I'm wondering now, because Mark Ruffalo is the only one that didn't have a contract ending, so it's just kind of like, I hope that what he's going to do, and this is me probably looking too deep, especially with the lines that he did have. He was the only one that actually verbally mentioned Shuri dying. And they did have some very good character interactions in Infinity War. So I'm really hoping that if they use them as a supporting character again, he is working with Shuri. I want that. One thing, I just want more Shuri in my life.
Yeah,
Second, I'm never going to get Shuri and Spider-Man interacting. Give me Bruce Banner and
Peter Parker.
Peter. Give me Bruce Banner and Shuri. Or the thing is, Tony's now gone, and Spider-Man's probably still going to retain his status as an Avenger. So he's probably going to be around Happy, because Happy's the other surrogate. But also, if he needs to hang around scientifically abled people, you're going to probably have Pepper, because she's the only one that really does understand Stark technologies. And then Bruce and Shuri, because they are also fucking smart. So, and also Shuri's in the place with all the vibranium. If they need to make stuff for Peter's suit, they're obviously going to use vibranium since they have the resources. So, fucking
The thing is, Banner is really smart, but in the MCU he was never the smartest. I mean, you see it very good in Endgame. He does not know shit about quantum mechanics and time
That's
travel.
not his forte, but he was able to contribute to breaking apart Vision's brain, so he's not an idiot.
Yeah, he's capable, but he's not the Stark type, right?
No.
That's
he's
the
not
reason
Stark.
why I would say he's not the, let's say, the new Q, like Bond Q. Like, I'm making all this cool equipment. That will be Shuri.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She will take that over.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You have taken away the singularity that was Tony. So what you need to do is now have a compilation, and that does put other characters into the spotlight to show their genius. That really paled in comparison, one, to the presence that is Tony, which I think was Shuri's thing. Shuri's smart enough, but she doesn't have the presence of Tony Stark. And also the intelligence level, where Bruce and stuff come in. Yeah. But this movie was so good. The trailers, oh God. Just to say about the trailers, I had to go into the fetal position during the Rise of Skywalker trailer because, oh my God, I don't want to be spoiled for it, and everyone's trying to spoil me.
Just stop spoiling, you guys. Yeah, I was so happy that I could evade. The thing is, I saw a trailer for Infinity Wars once before I was going to the movie. For some reason, it just popped up. You know how it goes, right? You're on social media, you're on YouTube, it pops up, you look over, and suddenly you're in it. I don't know. For Avengers Endgame, which also is the reason I'm not very much on the internet anymore because I have no fucking time in my free time anymore. But anyway, I didn't see the trailer at all. Nothing. I was completely blind going into that movie. And it starts off with Hawkeye. I was just a happy kid for 3 hours. And even if I'm very much, very, very quick to being enraged about plot points not making sense, like A&Y had today, I could not get angry at this movie. Because all of my heroes... The thing is, we are saying goodbye to Stark, to Captain America, which I hated in his first movie. I didn't like him for some reason. And he just grew on to me because he just developed so good. And all of his characters, we just say goodbye. And we have a very nice proposition with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and 4. The whole scene with the stare-off between
Peter
Thor and Will. Yeah, you are in charge. Absolutely.
The funny thing is that the funny thing
so good.
I believe that Thor actually likes the idea of not being in charge. I mean, he literally left the village and was like, "You are the king now." It's his nature. It's just in his nature. He cannot stop him. I believe he was sincere when he was like, "No, it's cool. You're in charge." He was sincere, but he couldn't help himself being just this natural leader.
All right. What is happening, Key?
I just realized something. Remember our whole thing about Loki?
Yes.
They're bringing Thor into space. What stone does Loki have in the botched attempt? The Space Stone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, he will... The thing is, here's my theory. They will do Guardians of the Galaxy. They will do the whole thing. Loki will show up in the after-credit scenes of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And you know what? Strange 2 is coming. You know what we didn't have enough yet? Loki versus Strange.
I've been falling for 30 minutes.
But
we will have that.
Here's, I mean, with the Space Stone and being able to hop timelines or dimensions or whatever you're going to call it, you gave me something that I'm like, okay, if they give this explanation with his return, then I will be fine with it. Then I will be like, okay, it's an explanation that works. The Cap scene is still bullshit, but this explanation works. However, why I still have a problem with it, this is just after Avengers Loki. This is Loki who has not lost his mom yet. This is not Loki who kind of bonded with Thor yet. This is still underdeveloped Loki. Did the mom already die?
No,
the mom just
dies
threw
in
me
Thor
off.
2.
Yeah, she died already.
Oh, but yeah, it was still pre Loki. Loki still went through changes after Avengers. At the end of
No, she
Avengers,
didn't die. She didn't die because he was captured.
in the cell,
And
he was in
get-
his cell.
I'm
in
not sure
Dark
anymore.
World.
That's the reason
She-
why I do not like time travel.
Yeah, she dies in Dark World.
The thing is, I
They-
do not know if Tom Hiddleston or whatever his name is does actually has still a running contract. The thing is, a lot of the stuff you can actually just foresee with contract.
Yeah, but I
running
don't
time.
want to. I don't want to.
I don't want to.
Yeah, this was the thing.
Yeah.
After I watched Endgame, I went back and watched game theory or movie theories take on who will survive, and half of his speculations on who will not survive Endgame were based on contracts, and I found this so
That takes the fun away.
exactly. This was so disillusioning that I was like, yeah, I don't want
You
to.
remember I just called that Stark will die in Infinity Wars because of his contract ending? I mean, I was convinced that he will die in Infinity Wars. I mean,
But then he had one more movie.
yeah.
But yeah.
Anything else which really was very, very...
I
I
mean-
mean quality-wise, it's a very good movie.
I
hope
keep
it-
taking notes the entire time.
Can I say that I feel kind of bad for the person who played Vision, that he was the one person that didn't get his moment in Endgame because he wasn't in any of the flashbacks, unless he was Howard Stark's driver because his name was
No, he
Jarvis.
wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So I
thought he
feel
was,
bad
but he
because
wasn't.
because
The
it's
thing
like,
is-
oh, poor
The
guy.
thing is, here's my theory, because I really vividly recall that. The actor, which I do not know his name, I know he's in a lot of movies. He's one of those actors where you see, yeah, that's that guy from this movie I've
He's
seen.
like a character actor, so.
He's British, I mean. Anyway, he complained that he does not get enough money. He wanted to have more money. Guess who dropped after he said that in power level in the next movie drastically, and was basically just a MacGuffin for the rest of the movie, and is now just gone and didn't even got a after credit scene.
I mean,
He
I
was
would
also
say,
introduced very late.
I would say yes. However, they didn't get rid of him completely because, oh, this is something. Darn you, Disney! You make me want to get Disney Plus because you're getting a bunch of the Marvel actors back for shows. Because him and Elizabeth Olsen are going to be has a Disney Plus show dedicated to Vision and Scarlet Witch. So they didn't get rid of him, so I don't know how much is actually the meta sense and how much is actually story sense. However, I just felt bad that it's like, he was in the credit sequence, they did give Vision a credit, but it was still just the fact of like, man, I put the actor aside, I like Vision.
Yeah, but
As a character, yeah.
talking about the credits, what I noticed and which also bothered me, like, why the fuck did Natalie Portman get a credit? I believe the one scene we see her in was actually a direct recyclement of her scene in Dark
It was
World.
unused footage.
Yeah. So it it even looked very familiar to me that she woke up in Asgard. So it
It was just
like,
an outtake.
okay, but yeah, there was no noteworthy footage of her. Why did she get a credit
Why
with
did a
her
lot
pink
of the
face?
people get credits? Because
Yeah.
they were just encapsulating everyone from the
No.
MCU thing. Though I think their order, besides having the original Avengers at the end, that makes sense.
Yes.
However, some of the ordering was really weird. Like, I get having the people that had to be mocapped, so Josh Brolin, and then the voice actor characters of Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper having a separate credit
Yeah,
being
this
like,
was
this
also
says
weird.
this. No, well, I mean, I get it because they've been doing that since the first Guardians. It's like, that makes sense.
Still,
I
Vin
don't-
Diesel is
Yeah.
still weird.
I don't get with Chris Pratt. Like, I understand putting that with Samuel L. Jackson, because they've done that with every time that Nick Fury is in the credits. But why him? Why Chris? Like, why Star-Lord? Because that makes no sense.
With XY, I never understood. There was one thing that completely off. Like the show Gilmore Girls has like the opening where you see every character with normal credit, and then the grandpa who is just as present as any other side character with special appearance by blah. He's a member of the main cast, and it's
I
like
think how is Redford? he also got a special appearance credit.
Yeah, which is
Or
weird.
like fucking in Jurassic World where they like whiff Jeff Goldblum. It's like, oh yeah. Because is it how little you're in the movie you get a whiff credit because
For 20 seconds or something. I think he has 3
I mean,
sentences.
Nick Fury was only on screen for 1 moment for him standing at Stark's funeral.
Yes.
So,
That's true.
but besides that, the movie's
And-
great. We're really
Yes.
picking at straws, but
I
it's
know.
still a very emotionally payoffy movie.
That's true. I mean, we talked basically about the entire main cast except for Thor and a little bit of Banner being off. I mean, they most of them have their
Mad
arcs
Bod
finished. Yeah, I mean, the only one who did not have a complete finished complete like arc where there is no coming back was Hawkeye, but Hawkeye.
If he gets his family back,
he will
that was
never
basically what it is.
leave their side again. So he is also
No.
out of the picture.
But
He had his whole arc in this movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically. Then one thing, the 5 years. How did you guys feel about the 5 years? I mean, it had an impact, but I was like, would the world really be that much in shambles after 5 years? I mean,
half the
it's
population, easy.
It's not just half the population. You have to keep in mind, in the entire universe, it's not just half the population. It's half of all living creatures.
Yeah.
So that means, and that makes sense of why the world is so desolate. There's half the animals are gone. Living creatures, half the plant life is gone.
That's the reason why Scott Lane could just say, "Hey, it worked," because he stared out of a window, and
there were birds.
I did not understand the scene until now. Keyframe is mentioning it, and now it makes sense.
but
Yeah,
Half
the
of
birds were
all
there,
the
and the
living
vegetation started coming back. Because the big broad point that I love that they did were not like half of all people or half of the population. He said half
Of
of
all-
living creatures, and that is such a broad statement that it makes so much sense why
which actually
Earth is in shambles and the rest of the universe.
Which makes no
Okay.
fucking sense because it reduces a lot of resources for
yeah,
Yeah,
that
this
shows
is
how
the
flawed
thing.
Thanos' plan is.
But this is the thing, because I actually just thought that this was a bad written line in this movie, or it was retconning it, because Thanos presented his plan always as like, hey, it sounded more like half the sentient beings because resources get close.
Yeah, half of everything. He was very broadly just rolling the dice on everything which is living, and
Which
just
is-
saying, hey, bet we
Even
got this.
livestock and shit.
Which is the intriguing part about Thanos himself, is that Thanos has an ideology that is in itself based around the greater good in his own mind.
Mm-hmm.
But because that greater good sacrifice and the kind of ego he has presented with it is so broad and black and white, he doesn't see the gray area of, the world is basically in shambles, which leads him to that whole thing of being like, I am inevitable. The world is I saw what happened after I did my thing. So let me instead recreate the world.
Yes.
The thing is, they even mention it in the movie. They said, hey, whales are coming back because there are less ships and everything.
Yeah,
so.
but less ships, so you would think that the wildlife whales are nearly extinct as it is, so halving them should probably give them the final push over the edge and not help them come back because there are less ships. Once again, it's with the wildlife I'm irritated, but now the bird scene actually makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because I didn't get the bird scene before, because I was just thinking the line was just a bad line, and
the thing is, Thanos is just a great villain as well, because when he comes to the situation that he says, hey, guys from the future coming back, and now I'm myself in the future, and apparently I have won, but now they're doing all of this. Hey, my resolution is I will wipe the whole universe. The step of just double down on your plan to just destroy half of it to everything is just such a Thanos move that I'm actually kind of a little bit sad that we're now not seeing Thanos anymore, but that's also a strong point about the villain. He's that impactful because he has such a gravitas.
I do think my opinion about the 5-year thing, I think that was the best way to go about it, in that we already saw the immediate aftermath with the whole 3 weeks part. But the 5 years and seeing the world still in shambles, because this is, like I said, this was a catastrophic event. And when you look at other catastrophic events that have happened in real life, how much time it takes for that to be recouped.
But
imagine this on a giant, grand, worldwide scale.
Yeah.
So there is a little base in reality that's like I can understand it, but also the people try and see it, like the scene where Captain is running the support group and people trying to move on. It's even though this is a fantastical event of half the world being dusted away, it felt real. And I think having that time jump and people trying to reestablish everything, it helped.
Yeah.
It increased it.
But the thing is, we will see more, and that's also the reason, not only because the movie will probably be good, Far From Home. We'll probably at least mention a bit of this stuff.
Where I have only
this
one.
This is the first movie after the apocalyptic thing.
But where I only have one pet peeve with, and Yuri already knows it, like, so just by mere coincidence, all the named characters from Spider-Man Homecoming, all of them must have been vanished, because otherwise they would be 5 years older now. And
Yes.
especially since we're talking high schoolers, this would mean that they are already now off to college, the guys who survived the snap. So by just mere coincidence, all named characters, including Peter and all his friends, they all just were lucky or unlucky or whatever they were part
They
of
were
the snap.
unlucky, but then again, then you would have to make the whole point
I
of Tony's whole thing of all Tony's relatives being alive, of Pepper and Happy, and then you also have to bring up the whole thing of fucking only Hawkeye being the only one in his family surviving.
I know. This was absolutely within the suspension of disbelief, and it's more a thing where I'm like, yeah, right, very.
Yeah,
I mean, just like a Nebula getting deactivated in the very second she is supposed to click the thing. How high was? Yeah, exactly. How likely was
that's
this?
convenience. I mean, you do that. You
Exactly.
do that if it's not too immersion breaking. I'm completely fine with someone just shifting the railroad in a way that the right makes.
I'm fine with it. This is just something I like to pull.
Yeah.
Does any of you guys still have something?
I just had a question for you guys that's not completely related to the movie, but it's a quick question. What trailers did you guys get before Endgame? Because I'm intrigued to see the differences between German cinema and us.
A friend of mine just told me he got Endgame as a trailer before
For Endgame? What?
No, we got Dark Phoenix.
Okay, I got that one.
Spider-Man.
I did not get Spider-Man.
I know the villain, but the thing is, I saw, unfortunately, the third one was...
What was the third trailer we got?
Did you guys get Skywalker?
No.
Oh.
Detective Pikachu?
No.
Oh.
Okay. It's only because...
I don't think we got more than
we
two.
only got two trailers. Wow.
Lucky you guys. We got like 5. We got Rise of Skywalker. Then we got Dark Phoenix. Still relatively hyped for that. Then we got Detective Pikachu. And then we got a movie that I think is going to be shit, but I'm still intrigued. It is essentially a movie where someone clones Will Smith, so it's Will Smith trying to kill Will Smith.
Why is he doing those movies nowadays? He does the pigeon.
It's like 25 years ago, you got cloned. The only person who can kill me is me. It's like
Will Smith has this weird I think Will Smith is the higher paid level of Nicolas Cage. He does movies which are either really, really strong and good, or just so terribly bad, and you can actually see it coming. We all know Aladdin will be a fucking shit show. And Will, why did you not run? I don't get it.
He couldn't run. They made him the genie. He doesn't have legs. but no, I just wanted to see chat. If you got the Will Smith killing Will Smith trailer, please let me know. Because after that trailer happened, Detective Pikachu was right after, which made me a lot happier. But I was just kind of like, why do I want to see the pigeon movie over this? Like.
Okay, last thing. For me, just the last thing. Do we get a Black Widow movie, yes or no?
Unless they make it a flashback, I don't know.
Believe it's supposed to be a Disney Plus prequel.
What it's probably going to be.
I don't think we get one. I don't think so. And I'm actually glad about it. Because, to be honest, Black Widow had enough of development in that.
And I don't need... I mean, I made my point clear that I'm not a big fan of prequels.
Yeah, that's I mean, at least you made a whole episode of your show based on it. But like I think that's just the whole thing of the Disney Plus supplement material is what it's probably going to be, because they just need to give Scarlett Johansson and the guy who plays Hawkeye more work. Is they're probably going to do what they're doing with Vision and Scarlet Witch and having those two's adventures. Which, if they do it with Hawkeye and Black Widow together, I'd be fine with. I like their chemistry, so. But then again, I like their chemistry in Avengers too, so.
We will see how the supplement stuff works out, because Netflix just canned all of its supplement stuff for MCU.
Yeah, because Disney Plus is happening.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but also a lot of those shows did not really pull their weight anymore as much. So, I mean, I'm just blaming the Iron Fist for everything.
The Iron Fist. Is it the Iron Fist that God makes good Marvel trailers where they make new material, but they don't do that for Star Wars? Because I've seen just no. Yeah.
Star Wars ANY, we will be there, and we will have a next spoiler show for that. But guys, I just need to go. I need to.
I mean, we were at the end, and it's like midnight for you guys, and I have shit to do. So thank you guys for joining us for spoiler talk.
Absolutely.
Bring us home, ANY.
And everybody, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.